Go for main engine, start.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is, what is the date today? February 2nd, 2022. Welcome back to RealTuners Radio. Sorry it's been a couple of weeks, man. We've been busy, lots going on. But anyway, here we are. And yeah, it looks like we got audio. And it's just starting to like snow and ice outside. Snowmobile is finally starting. But hope everybody's warm and cozy at home. Well, let's see what's new. Looks like Jason's got a whole bunch of stuff going on over there. All right, there we go. That was a little goofy intro. We're trying to get this synced up right. So what's new, everybody? Let me pull up my deals here. There we go. Oh man, everybody's already signed up on YouTube already and chatting away. What's up, Jesse Coburn? Jeff Bonifield is on here. Rick Walters. Good to see you guys here. Daniel Lembo, you were early. And Jerry, I think is that Jerry and Jeff are related. But anyway, he got on there quick. So anyway, let's see who else. Other people are messaging me. I think that's about everything. What's up, Veldman? David Veldman. Hope you guys? He's like 100 yards away from me. He's my neighbor, but he's also like my mechanic, and I've helped him out on his race cars sometime. So Jackie Bennett's in here. Hey man. So Jackie's getting ready to go out for another run at them NHRA titles again this year. Justin McMurtry, Jake Hildebrandt, Scotty McDonald. Scotty Wheels, are you freezing your ass off up there yet, or what, dude? You guys getting Snowmobile too?
Isn't he?
But anywho, nice. All right, cool. Well, let's see what do we want to talk about? So who we got tonight? We got Kenny is in here, Brian Barnhill is in here with me, and our buddy Daniel Check. So you guys have to check it out. I asked Daniel to sit in tonight because he has a podcast. It's the Try Five Talk. I was on it yesterday. There's a link on my Facebook time frame. It's pretty cool. We had an hour chat about EFI stuff, and it was good and lighthearted. It was a fun chat. But you guys should check them out. Anyway, he's on here tonight to kind of observe, kind of see how we do some things behind the scenes, so and help him out. But worth checking out his podcast. Good to see all you guys signing on here. Look at those numbers coming up. These are rookie numbers. They're not rookie numbers. We're having good numbers. All things considered.
I think everyone's we forgot how to do this.
Zach West. Zach, dude, I've got your I just hooked up and tested your CAN IO box for Holly just this week, and it worked perfectly. Just as a heads up, I borrowed Zach West's Holly CAN IO box because I wanted to test it out on a system I had here on the bench. He's the man. Him and Blake hooked me up on that. Zach, all my dudes, Tyler Eidson on here. Man, you can tell the weather's fucked up because all the racers are actually tuning in tonight. What's up, Tyler? You can tell it's winter time. Oh my God! So we're waiting on Perduto. He's a little bit late. I think he was at a test session.
Well, yeah, he lives down in that area where you can keep racing, right?
I know, right? But he's going to tell us how.
King of the Hammers right now, and I'm sitting here freezing. They send me messages like, "What the fuck? You guys go to the desert and you don't?"
Right. Dude, my King of the Hammers customer, her race was yesterday, and she had transmission problems. The thing wouldn't leave the line. That sucked. I don't know what happened. I haven't heard back from it yet, but so my lone King of the Hammers entry is out as of now. But she still qualified for the other events or whatever, so she get to move on. But she did not have a good run this weekend. Otherwise, yeah. So Scotty Mac's already talking about. They canceled Bradenton.
It was with my Dyno cell. I was loving it when I got my Dyno cell to 50. We'll share that picture later.
Oh, it's a good thing. I mean, I'm with Scott on that one, man. I mean, the track was cold. I don't want to joke too hard. They had an incident with Will Tetro's car.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, God, that sucked. He sent that picture. They bumped it into the wall again. Cold track, car was on a good pass, a good lick, and I don't know what happened. He just broke tires loose or something.
It broke an axle. And so
it did. So that's why it hooked so hard. I thought either that or it got on some fluid.
Yeah, it broke an axle.
God, from that good launch.
You can see where it's in the wheelie, and then it breaks, and the car just hooks to one side, and goes right on the wall.
So that sucks because they were bringing that car to my class here in 4 weeks. Shit. No, it's all right, man. Perduto had a backup plan B, a really cool car. Landy Santana's going to bring his car So that which is another, we'll get to see everything from mild sniper combos to absolute 2,000 horse monsters on the chassis dyno for that class. And I apologize for the people who didn't make it in. It was almost entirely podcast listeners that signed up for that class. So thank you guys. We're going to do another one. We're working on the one at Blake's either last weekend in April or first weekend in May at 417 Motorsports. David's been watching, Veldman's been watching TIG welding videos. Veldman, you guys cleaned up the shop out front there. Man, we drove by. That place looks nice now. Holy crap. This is my neighbor that runs an automotive shop local. He takes care of all of our rides at Finish Line, automotive and performance. Good shit. Look at this. Doug Vanstrom's in here tonight. Man, I feel like I should have had a guest or something. I'll get the funny thing. I mean,
I have a guest, sort of.
Daniel's my guest, right?
Well, you were my guest last night, so why not?
True. But no, I'll get the funny thing out of the way. So Daniel had actually got this guy to interview on his podcast. But so some of you saw the post a couple of weeks ago where the guy who's the CEO at PRI posted, check out the picture of our new office building and our new offices. And it's wicked, man. PRI built themselves a really bitchin' facility. And, from here, we're going to be able to help you, the racers, more, blah, blah, blah. So me being the dickhead that I am, I simply asked, hey, man, how's the EPA and the RPM Act going? Is there any kind of update on that or a place where we can find out? Because a lot of us actually make our living doing work, not like marketing, not YouTube, whatever shit. Some of us actually work in this industry and would like to know, like, well, are you helping us or do we need to fend for ourselves? He's super cool. I got a really cordial comeback and a good comeback. He's like, hey, man, let's get on the phone and address your concerns. We talk about it. I thought that was super kick-ass cool. I was like, here's my email. Reach out to me. The next day, a secretary of his reaches out to me, says, hey, how's this time for you? It was like 3 days out, 4 days out, and it was like last Wednesday it was going to be during the day or whatever. And I was like, yeah, perfect. I'll make that time, no problem. Let me know. And that was the last I heard from either of them, despite making 2 phone calls and sending 5 more emails back saying, hey, was that time okay? And that time came and went and I got totally blown off. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't want to dog on them too hard, but guys, I don't think that SEMA or PRI are the people who you want to trust your legal and EPA concerns with. As far as things getting done, it's just unfortunate. So my advice on that, maybe we do some future podcasts talk about that. I have some stuff we've learned from other people that have been through it, but be careful tuning them factory computers. That's all I got to say about that. Let's see. Okay. Any thoughts on the clocks on no time event that Beaterbomb and Boosted GT doing exhibition races?
Oh yeah, that's local to me.
Yeah, me too. My old house was for 22 years was 15 minutes from that track. Not even 12 or 15 minute drive.
My thought about the clocks being on, I mean, the only thing that does is it gives the other racers an advantage to like look and say, okay, hey, I need to change how my tune is so I can run closer to what he's running.
We've argued about this before, and what keeps those races alive isn't the racers, it's the spectators. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So clocks off, some of the guys here like clocks off. To me, clocks off is just dumb. I'm a spectator myself, so I like clocks on. I've seen a bunch of these Carolina grudge cars with the clocks off. They're fucking slow. I mean, I don't say anything else, but these guys talk like they're, can outrun No Prep Kings guys or whatever. Or, I go to a track and watch a bunch of 540, 5.5 second cars with the clocks off. I mean, dude, if you're like a jet dragster and you're going to run 300 out the back door, okay, turn the clock off. I just want to watch. I'm there for the rest of the show, but yeah, I don't, anyway. Yes. Scott says you got a great porn star mustache.
I just got scolded by my co-host.
Lovely. But anyway, yeah, so RPM Act, that kind of stuff, we got totally blown off on that. They're just jerking our chain. I'm not going to spend any more money or donate towards that. I'm going to figure something else out. Someone needs to get together with the EPA, because if each one of us, I did do this math, if each one of us racers paid $100 a year, it would be very, very easy to raise between $125 and $150 million a year GM only pays $50 per ton per carbon credit each year, carbon credits. So we could totally, what's up, Matthew Harris? Good to see you guys, man. We could totally raise more money than GM pays for their carbon credits each year, just as the racers, very easily at $100 a piece a year. I think if the right organization, it's unfortunate that SEMA isn't and PRI really don't seem to be taking this situation truly seriously. And maybe, it's just not their place. I'm not saying that, I'm a little harsh on them because they came out and said, we're the one that's going to handle it for you. So they've taken on that responsibility and it's not happening. So I'm going to be a little bit critical, but
and at this moment, it's kind of one-sided. It's more towards the race cars, and there's so much more.
Yeah, it does nothing for streetcar guys. Does absolutely nothing for streetcar guys. Yeah, nothing at all.
Like we were talking with Craig last night, my co-host. He's got the blown 55 Chevy, and what's that going to do for him at the moment? Nothing. So,
Zach West. Sorry, hey, easy on us 5.5x ET clock off, guys. My bad, Zach. Yeah, I'm sure he runs okay. I like the game he's playing. That's hilarious. Sorry. Yeah, but you're right, Daniel. It is a one-sided thing. Just what bugs me is right now, if you spent, I think $100,000 would get the right law firm to go in and negotiate with the EPA for carbon credits for us. Tesla did it. They became an automotive manufacturer and they pay for carbon credits, or they're paying their fines, and they turn around and sell them, which is another thing we can talk about later. Daniel and we were talking about that a minute ago, how Teslas, it doesn't matter if they actually did run on free energy and zero emissions because each car sells its carbon credits to make Tesla money. But hilarious. Yeah, Zach, you guys are hilarious. I won't blow your cover there, Zach. Yeah, 550's in a good day. But anyway, James McEwen is on here. God, I feel like I need to put on a better show, like comb my hair or something. All these high dollar ballers are on here tonight. Anyway, so the PRI thing went nowhere. The SEMA thing, whatever. Dr. Jamie Meyer blew us off and just didn't, whatever. Doesn't take us seriously. My guess is it's the same reason that Stevie Fast had to back out of the show an hour beforehand. There might be some pressure from certain sponsors. Anyway, so let's see what else is going on. Did anyone else? No, we never got anyone else popped in here. So Kenny, what are you guys working on? What's going on with that fresh ass C4 behind you there?
That guy, that's a buddy of mine's car. We're in the middle of LS swapping it because LS swap the world.
Sweet. What LS what are you putting in it? What's the combo?
A spare 5.3 I had laying around. It's not going to be anything.
Iron or aluminum?
Iron.
Nice. All right.
It's an old Crossfire car, so it's still going to be head and shoulders faster than what it was.
Those things. Oh my God! I have a story about one of those. I had somebody did like a concourse restoration and tune up on a Crossfire. One of those things. Like, I'm joking about concourse because Brian and I were talking about he's surrounded by those kind of builders. But a guy brought one to our Mustang dyno, and dude, I shit you not, just absolutely scream and kill tune. It was like 131 to the wheels, something like that. Oh God. So it was ridiculous. And those guys, these are 300 horse motors. I'm like, no, I don't think so. But the factory lied about these. I'm like, yeah, they did. They lied. It actually makes a lot less than they sold you on. But Crossfire stuff was weird to me. It's basically all the worst things about TBI, and all the worst things about port injection all combined into one system. But hey.
No, it's not even that. It's basically they put two carburetors with injectors in them on opposites diagonal. Right. It's
right.
Bag of shit is what it is.
Yeah, man, look at these players. I got Mark Rios, Mr. Rios Tune himself is in here. David Henderlong, the Godzilla Ford 7.3 wizard. Seth Moore is in here. It's kind of funny. All you guys, you can tell the weather's jacked up tonight. Everybody's tuned in. Man, it's good to have all you guys. I just need to give out the Zoom meeting to everybody and just have it have a free for all here. Yeah, Mark, the EPA thing should have you pretty worried. The stock ECU stuff, there's some other reasons you should be concerned because you're God, Brett Chimera's in here. Now all the builders are showing up. Yeah, as Mark Rios is talking about the EPA thing, he's pretty worried because his primary bread and butter is stock ECU tuning. Man, what you got to worry about is the fact that certain companies have your name tied to individual VIN numbers. That's what sucks. That credit system is not good. Brett, I saw you're working on a new hood on the car, man. I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out. It's pretty badass. Brett's got a sweet ass Monte Carlo. The ones I liked, the ones from the 80s, the late 80s. But anyway, so what else is going on? Somebody fire away some questions. Get us some entertainment here. We're waiting on.
All right, so tell me here. I'm the guy that's still dinosaur carburetor. So I'm looking like my wife's Mustang that I'm building for. I want to put a 460 in it, and so what should I put on it for EFI? Since I think that's going to be the easiest thing for my wife to get in and hit the key and just fire it off.
Injection. Don't even mess around with a TBI. Don't mess around with a Sniper or Phytec, in my opinion.
Well, I'm not one of those, but
yeah. But if you spend just a little extra money, or you can be junkyard savvy, there were some 460 intakes with injectors. But you can take like a Super Victor intake or a relatively affordable intake and have a guy like Blake at 417 Motorsports here in town. Like they do conversions. They'll turn it into an EFI intake for you.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
for really affordably too.
To look and like.
Yeah, I mean, if you want it to work like a modern OEM car.
Yeah, just basically for her to get in, hit the key, and drive it.
You know who's got a really cool A460 based combo you might look into is Rich Pedraza out of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay.
Also, one of our hosts, Bill Fowler, kind of spec'd that motor for him. His combo is a little crazier, but they build a lot of the 460 based stuff, and he knows how to do good strong builds on a budget. But Rich's combo I really liked. I tuned that for him. He's loading up and heading out to Sick Week.
Oh yeah.
We need an audio. Jason needed to make us a thing where the dude's going Sick Week, because I have a feeling we're gonna talk about that a little bit more coming up. For sure. Yeah, Mark, you're right. Yeah, they're pretty cool, but there's always something you got to fix. But yeah, look at some Roy Scribner stuff. He's built a few trucks with A460 base motors, as Seth pointed out. He's right. That's another good one. But take a look at some of you can build those really affordably. Actually, they're the big block Fords, and make that fun. But you definitely want to get something like a Terminator X ECU, a universal harness, an intake manifold that's set up for rails and injectors, and then port injected, and then you're going to need the same fuel system you'd need for the TBI anyway. So an intake pump with a feed and a return, and a regulator.
Simple enough.
Yeah, it's not bad. We'll help you out when it's time. We'll help pick parts. But yeah, Fowler and Rich Pedraza do Rich's combo is badass. I mean, it's a really good for the money build that's probably it's probably 800 horsepower and really tame and timid. I mean, you can build it for 500 if you want and be super tame. But who's that dialed in?
Get a phone number.
New phone number.
Put my phone number.
And his audio dropped out.
I killed it. Hold on. Who was that? I asked him to unmute. Sorry, I accidentally. There you go. Who is that?
I put my phone number out there for everyone to see.
Who is that?
Hello?
Are you on the wrong meeting? Oh, what's up, man? Oh, here, I'll fix your number. Wait, so are you? Where are you that you can't get on regular? That's hilarious.
I literally just left the track and heading home. And I'm like, man, I got an hour drive. At least I can talk before I get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So Daniel, good example. So one of our hosts, he's just dialing in with his phone, audio only, but can get on and talk with us. That's pretty cool.
Okay,
that's pretty
cool.
Good deal, Mikey. Good shit. So he just called in the regular numbers. I like that idea, Seth Moore. Roy Scrivener has built some neat shit. Cool. So Mikey, what happened at Bradenton? First off with the weather and the event, and then tell us your own personal shit story.
What didn't happen at Bradenton? So it was overly cold. I'm a little bitter about it, so I might go a little on tangent. The track was garbage. So the day we're supposed to start qualifying, Wade, everyone knows Wade Rich, he's been on the podcast. Wade comes down with, we thought COVID, he thought COVID, whatever. He decides he's going to bow out of the event. Whatever, no big deal. Jimmy Bradshaw's there. If anybody knows track prep, Jimmy Bradshaw, Tyler Crossno, and Wade Rich are probably known as the three best in the world. Okay, so Jimmy Bradshaw's there. They decide they're going to fly Tyler Crossnow in. So you have two of the three best on property, and Wade obviously at your beck and call, although home, but you can call him. Guys, they could not make the track let more than two pairs go down at a time, and then the track would just. The rubber was bubbling off the track. It was blistering. Stuff was coming up. I haven't seen a track that bad since we used to race the Outlaw Tomato Nationals down at Immokalee in the middle of nowhere. It was just. I don't know if they had bad mix, bad glue, bad what. I don't know. But compound that with bad weather, and it was just an absolute, for lack of better words, shit show.
Well, now, don't you, when you get water on the track or whatever, can't that also cause for the bubbling and problems like that?
Of course. And they did fight some rain the first day of the race. It was a very weirdly run event. I don't know how to really go on about it without feeling like I'm bashing them, which a lot of people are doing. If anyone's into drag racing, there isn't a good word being said about Bradenton or anyone that works there anywhere on the internet currently. It got bad. I think we had 7 cars wrecked on Saturday.
I had some other customers running there that were pretty disappointed. Were not happy. I didn't quite catch the whole story. I don't want to beat up. That's Wade Rich's track, isn't it?
Yeah. Wade was not there. Like I said, he was
sick.
Oh
man.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it now.
So you have the 2 others at the track. Like I said, weather was not on their side. Heat was definitely not on their side. Especially Saturday, we were fighting probably 30, 40 degree temperatures with probably a steady 20 mile an hour wind gusting higher. That was just taking heat out of the track as fast as it could. That being said, I do think there was a lot of run order and running of things that I think could have changed to make the event run better. One of the biggest things that sucked the most, literally everyone woke up Sunday morning, Sunday being the best weather we had in 4 days at the track, and they canceled the event. They weren't going to have enough time to get the event done, even though they said it was because weather wasn't good enough. The weather was actually beautiful Sunday. And people obviously saw that. If you saw, everyone literally left Bradenton, went to Orlando, and Jeff Miller made a 377 rip.
Jamie Miller's car got down
Sunday.
though, right? Sorry.
So,
I had to point that out. I'm a fan. I'm a nut swinger for Jamie. Go ahead, carry on.
He had it figured out. Him and the Mills, Dwayne Mills brought his daughter's car over to Orlando.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, they had something wrong, bad glue, bad batch, bad something. They could not make it work, and they chose to call the event. Their prerogative. Like I said, there was some way some things were run. We woke up Sunday morning, half the Pro Mod pits had already left, so some people got told the race was going to be canceled prior to other people, which when you're sitting there in the pits, I'm 3 hours from home, I could have woke up in my own bed.
Dude, it's funny you say that, man. So I was watching Facebook posts where one guy said it was about to be canceled like a couple hours before other customers of mine were sure it wasn't being canceled. And I actually was like, dude, I'm looking at Facebook posts from a couple guys, and I was saying it's being called. And literally, those my guys didn't get the feedback through official channels for like a couple hours. And they had cars waiting in staging lanes. You know,
that's what bothers us locals. I'm 3 hours from home. If we knew Saturday night it was going to be canceled, I might have pulled into the driveway at 1 a.m., but at least I could have woke up in my own bed.
Yeah. How far away are you? How far was it from your place in Orlando?
For 3 hours.
Yeah, it's a little bit long drive at night, man. That's I don't know.
Yeah,
that
but
sucks.
They called racing Saturday night at sundown at 6:30. So at 6:30 at night, if you tell people, "Hey, we're not racing tomorrow," even if it takes me an hour to pack up, we're leaving the track before 8 o'clock.
Right.
But
who is happy?
like I said,
on YouTube. Sorry, go ahead. Now, I carry on. Tell us anything else, and then of course, what happened next was absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So for those of you that know,
he's breaking up.
the video got posted out somewhere.
Go ahead.
We had a new combination, Williams RX-7. made an absolute rip of a pass on 463 off the trailer. First pass on new combination. Thought we had a runner. We showed up the next round on Saturday, and no one was going down the track. They could prep the track, and after they prepped it, the next 2 cars down could make a rip, and then right after them, no one could go down. And we watched 4 cars in front of us, all 3 strike the tire at 60 foot out. And, you know, we had actually turned the lead down because we give you an idea for those guys that are into this stuff. We left the starting line at 8.5, 9 pounds of boost on a 1.3 second ramp. I mean, I literally, the car was like, hey, just go out there and go A to B. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, hey, let's just make a pass and go down through there. And the car actually had the front tires up in the air at the 60 foot, kicked the back tires off, spun the tires with the car in the air. There's some theories as to when it came down, it broke something in the front end. We haven't even taken the car out of the box yet to know, but it went into the wall pretty hard, and that car is officially donezo. We are not going to, for the time being, Will has chosen to concentrate on his Pro 275 build with the Nova.
There you go.
The R7 is done for now.
That's good. That's good. Don't beat up on that poor car anymore. Man, I hate it, though. That car has been to our class before and laid down. Actually, I think for a while it held the class record on the dyno.
Yeah, like 1356 or something like that.
Yes, yeah. Okay. It's Ryan Hargett. That's who that is. Okay, cool. So, hey, CJ, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but send me on Facebook that response from your representative about the RPM Act. I'm curious. I'll look for that.
Real quick, while you're on that topic, and before I start running into my house here in a couple minutes, there's rumor around the internet, and you've been more on top of this than me, Scott, but I'm hearing more and more representatives and people responding to inquiries about the RPM Act and people actually taking, quote, our side in this, that people are getting responses. So
I hear that, but what I'm seeing is it's election season. So I don't know,
for sure,
man.
100%. But can we use that to our advantage and start the talking point?
I don't really know, because I think what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to hire a $150,000 law firm who knows the right people on the EPA side to go in and basically say, look, we'll organize some group to collect $100 a year from all the racers, and we'll raise 120 to 150, 175 million each year to buy ourselves carbon credits or something. Figure it out. You know, they can't. Someone's going to look at that much money. Someone's going to look at that much money and be like, okay, maybe we can look the other way. You know what I mean? Money talks with these people. I know this.
But it's all money, and I don't think $100,000 you crowdfund that out of a drag race crowd or just a drag race crowd alone.
That might be the hardest part to come up with. But that's the only reason I say the first $100,000 gets you the audience, right, with the right people.
Yes. I don't think you'd have a hard time coming with that $100,000, and not with this racing community. I don't think so at all.
I don't think if you put if you listed what that was for, like when the SEMA guys or PRI says, we're going to put your membership fees to good use, blah blah blah. Well, there's no accounting for that, you know. But I think if you told them, look, this is where we're going to spend our money. These lawyers are going to get us a seat at the table with the EPA people who make these rules, and look, we want to buy some carbon credits just like everyone else did. There we go. CJ just sent me.
You can tap dance around a little bit. I'll call it right like it is. I don't mind getting a little bit of heat and still mad at me. I don't think SEMA PRI are the right people to be heading this. I think there's too much lack of transparency as to what they spend their money on for them to be the people heading this up and taking money.
They're also politically, it's not their thing, man. They're just, there's kind of if you're in automotive media, I mean, my observation, correct me where I'm wrong, if you're in automotive media and you're not really, really supporting the classic typical party line right now, the progressive party line or whatever you want to call it, the Democrats, liberals, whatever. And I don't mind. I got friends that are on both sides, but if you don't run that party line, you stand a chance of getting canceled, plain and simple. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of hard to be, hey, let's go fight the EPA when the EPA is doing good things and green things for us and blah blah blah.
Yes.
You know, so it's hard for those guys. If I was one of those guys, I would have to, and I wanted to keep my job. I mean, Dennis Pitzenbarger is a great example of someone who is fucking awesome and outspoken, and is awesome on all the TV shows he's done, on the radio shows. He's got a killer voice. He's an awesome podcaster. And like, this industry basically took a giant shit on him in the last couple of years because he let it out that he has conservative views. You know what I mean? And then he thought some things in California were stupid. And then now you got, I mean, people have it out for that dude because he's not singing he's singing the wrong tune. And it's not, he doesn't even rub it in your face. The guy's badass. If you go check out Dennis Pitzenbarger and stuff he's done, you've seen him on TV for years.
Well, he's one I'm trying to get to
get
talk
him on your
to,
show,
actually.
man. He's a hell of a good guy to interview with. I was on his show once a long time ago, on a radio show, an actual radio show with him. It's been 5 or 6 years ago. Was awesome. Just good chat, good dude. But to see him get shit on because he sticks with his, he wasn't afraid to share, hey, this is what I think. Yeah, I'll vote for Trump or whatever. Oh my God, it was over. I know. I'm accidentally in some automotive network marketing group. I don't think they realize I'm in there, and I read, and oh, dude, they want to cancel that guy for his politics. But anyway, so I don't think you can be in their business and get truly behind pushing back on the EPA or doing something about it. So I don't know. Am I the guy to organize that? No, fuck no. The EPA is not going to take me seriously. But we need. I know if you roll in there with the right attorneys, with the right background, and I've kind of got an eye on a couple of people, that you can get a seat at a table and get someone to listen. And there are people that are willing to look at the money you can raise. So just a thought.
Yeah, the thing about that is you got to be. You just got to be politically agnostic when you approach that stuff.
Yeah, you do. It's hard to do too, right? I'm about the worst guy for that, probably. Maybe politics, I don't mind. I'm having a music background. A lot of friends on both sides of the politics, but as long as they're not immediately thinking that the other guys are just idiots by default, I'm fine with it.
I'm gonna say political discussions are best had in person.
Yeah.
Not on the internet.
No, definitely not.
Okay, so let me read this. This is pretty cool. Our listener CJ, I'm not even going to try and pronounce your last name, dude. I have no idea how to pronounce it. But he sent something to his representative, probably through the RPM Act's website, because it does send out an automated letter. And he got a response back from Amy Klobuchar's office, which is kind of cool. And it says, thank you for contacting me to express your thoughts regarding the recognizing the Protection of Motorsports Act. I appreciate having the benefit of your comments on this important issue. I'm co-sponsor of the RPM Act. S.2736, which will ensure that motorsports enthusiasts in Minnesota and across the country are able to legally upgrade their vehicles for use in racing on non-public roads. I am honored to have received the Motorcycle Industry Council Chairman's Award in 2012 for my work upholding the recreational trails program and supporting motorcycle and ATV riders. Fucking cool. I have long supported these and other forms of motorsports, including snowmobiling. Okay, Amy, I'm listening. And her last paragraph, again, thank you for taking the time to contact me. I can continue to be humbled to be your senator, and one of the most important parts of my job is listening to the people of Minnesota. I'm here in our nation's capital to do the public's business. I hope you will contact me again about matters of concern to you. Sincerely, Amy Klobuchar, United States Senator. Now, she didn't write that. One of her reps wrote that for her. That's a little more than a that's a pretty good response. So I like seeing that. I'm still not sold on the RPM Act itself, but let's see. Let those guys push it. I don't want to get in the way. The more work we have on multiple fronts, the better.
Well, and I got those kind of responses back from I think it was 2 or 3 of my
Nebraska representatives. Yep. Let's see. So that's about all there. Thanks, CJ, for sharing that. Much appreciated. So, what else is going on? Let me try and catch up on these messages here. Yes, I do want to do a class up there with you, Barnhill. We need to do something like that. Or McDonald, one of those guys. So Scott Travis is the GTO we had in his class, I think, is the overall record holder for power at one of our classes. The fucking thing made like 18 something at the wheels, just goofing around. Just a little more than Jackie Bennett's car did, though. When these guys showing up with their pro mods on methanol and big blower motors, 640-inch blower motors. but it's kind of fun at the class. Let's see here. Oh, so what else is going on? So I'm hey, check this out, you guys. I didn't even get to tell you guys, some of you guys this. I got a call from Big Chief. I guess it's been about 2 weeks ago now, and Justin Shearer, right? And he'd been on the show, episode 86. Really good show if you're into big tire stuff and want to make it hook up on crappy surfaces. But anyway, me and Jason, he asked us to come down and help them set up the wiring and the electronics and stuff on him and Jackie's nitrous small tire cars and the motors that they got. And I checked it out. If you follow Midwest Street Cars or Midwest Customs YouTube page, basically his home base YouTube page, him and Jackie have been doing some Q&As and some pretty cool stuff with that YouTube channel. And they talk about the car that he bought and the 2 engines that they've picked up. They're going to run a big small tire event, try and be competitive at that. And so we're going to go get those motors in the car and figure out what kind of tricks we want to run. And maybe I'll probably be podcasting from there in the next week or 2, depending. He's waiting on some parts. But I moved to where I'm only like 4 hours away from them now. So where I was like, dude, why don't we just come over there for a couple days and hang out and let's get these guys dialed in. He wanted some input on power management stuff that we've been doing, and we got some tricks to throw at his way. So it was kind of cool. So we'll see. We'll probably do some live streaming or something from there. But
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Tyler Peter Wayne Titus, the longest name on Facebook. He's right. How come everyone has amnesia when it comes to the fact that all these bills and petitions never ever cover streetcars? You have a bunch of nonprofits begging to kill a large part of the industry and trying to pass legislation for it? Not going to argue with you.
Big facts.
I mean,
Yep, not going to argue with him at all, man. Dude hits a great point.
Yeah,
Well,
the concern there is, do we do the whole, well, let's get part of it? Because if you try to say, what do you want all of it?
You're never going to be able to
Right,
tamper
right.
with stuff on the street, man. The
Yeah,
feds
I
are going to own that
I
shit.
think that's really
and
what it comes to, is like at a certain
you have
point,
to-
how do we, what you have to put.
You have to throw out the bathwater and hopefully save the baby at this point.
What you have to do is make the EO and the emission compliance processing much more simplistic and not require 100
And streamline it and make it doable. Make it not bullshit. Because
Like, why can't I do certification on my dyno?
I mean, remember we had guys on here telling us that there's a such thing as a carb EO to swap a Coyote powertrain into an early model or a Fox body Mustang. Bill was telling us, I swear that there was going to be, you can get a carb EO. Dude, there's like 7 people now on the EPA website that got busted for doing that with carb EOs. And 3 of them were using the GM crate combo, and a couple of them were using the Ford power pack and the whole buy this engine, emissions compliant, ready to go, shit from GM and blah blah blah. Well, you'll still get busted in California for it.
Yeah, like right now, there's no reason people like Mark Rios and James Short, who has engine. Actually, I mean, I know that's part of what they're doing there, but like, why we can do our 5-gas analyzer, and then we talked about this a while back when I was like, hey, this is here, and that's when you let me in, and I went down the rabbit hole of looking up what is the standard for a dyno for EPA testing, and there is one, and there's a standard number. And yeah, you're right, the roller is what, 50-60 grand to machine the roller alone because of the tolerance they insist it has to be held to. And I get for OEM high level stuff.
That's a Corey Willis question. He went through that and spent that money and bought their specific dyno.
Right. It was either you or Tom that brought that up when we were talking about it. And I went and looked it up, and I found the spec, and I dug down the spec sheet, and yeah, you're right.
Man,
$100,000 dyno.
I was reading through some of Corey's stuff and their pleadings since it's available on Pacer. And man, that dude tried hard. They spent a lot. If anybody brought the most noble fight against the EPA and put their money where their mouth was, it was Corey Willis, and he did a show with us. We check it out, but he kind of understated how much money they really spent and fighting they did, to make it so that, hey, dude, give us some kind of option here. And man, they just took a giant crap on him. But if there was anybody, I see all these people, thank you, SEMA, for going to bat for us and blah, blah, blah. Dude, I think they've spent like $2,100 so far, but Corey, I don't want a handful of millions, I'm guessing. I'm only guessing. I never saw a number on his pleadings, but having been sued myself many times, no, just one really good one. I kind of get an idea for how much the lawyer fees cost. It might be $10 million in his program, you know. And God, respect to that guy, because he didn't go begging for handouts. He didn't go begging for handouts from nobody. He just went balls out his own style. So I have new respect for Corey on that stuff after reading some of their pleadings.
Well,
Brian, your audio sucks. I can't hear you.
Brian's audio sucks?
Yeah.
It's a little muted.
Try it now, Brian.
Is that good?
Oh, yeah. There you go. Get that mic closer.
Sorry.
Or turn that gain up, whatever. But anyway. Okay, I see what Hap TV, Harkin Automotive and Performance. That makes sense.
Some of the guys were asking earlier about the track vehicle on the splash screen, Scott. They wanted you to talk about
Oh, so that's the I just happened to pull that one up because somebody was asking, so I had that picture handy. You guys watch did anyone here ever watch How Tech, the Discovery Channel show years ago, 3 or 4 years ago? So these guys are government contractors and they build crazy shit that tests out to test for the government. And they obviously built this thing called the Ripsaw. And, we've had Tom Vigue on here a number of times. He reached out to me. It's been like 3 years ago, I think. But he reached out and he's like, hey, man, I'm having problems with a Holly on this engine that we built. It's kind of a Sonny Leonard style billet, 740 cubic inch, all aluminum. It's a pump gas motor that makes 1,500 horsepower. And I mean, they told him we want 1,500 horsepower and it's got to run on 87 octane. And Tom is your guy. He's done everything from NASCAR engines to NHRA Pro Stock. And he built them in exactly 1,500 horsepower combo for the Ripsaw, for their fastest Ripsaw. They wanted to set a record and they wanted to go desert dune uphill racing with it, which they ended up not doing. I think the Sheikh that paid for it never took delivery and they sold it to someone else. But you can see Cletus running around in a Ripsaw, but they get him the diesel versions that only make like 500 horsepower. But the 1,500 horsepower one, you can Google it. It's called the Ripsaw SSR1. And if you look through my Facebook pictures from a few years ago, you can see I posted pictures of when we went up to How and How's facility, hung out with the brothers, and dialed this thing in. I got to do all the tuning on that, and it was super badass. That thing was awesome. But someone was asking, what's the weirdest thing you've ever tuned, Scott? So I had that picture handy. Because it's almost the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing I'll probably talk about. I mean, other weird things. There's I did a V20 diesel engine for a stationary General Motors EMD engine that made something like, it turned like 400 RPM. It was for an emissions project. That's boring as shit to talk about. But so that's what that is. That's the Ripsaw SSR Super Sand Rail, the most highest horsepower version of the Ripsaw. You might have seen those in the G.I. Joe movie too. They were popular. Yeah, 1,500 on pump gas. That is a heck of an ask. You do it with 747 cubic inches, is what you do there. You make it so it's just a couple horse, less like a 1.8, 1.6 horse per cubic inch, something like that. Yeah, and it was 87 octane shit gas, no less. You're right. So anyway, that was
they're
what
up in that area
about.
in New Hampshire where
stupid.
What's that?
They're up in that area in New Hampshire where sometimes you can only get 91 or whatever the hell is open. Because so they're a buddy
they're in the middle of nowhere.
For them. Yep.
I was surprised where they're at how country and hick it is, because out here in the Midwest, we think everything.
Welcome to New Hampshire. That is 3/4 of New Hampshire, dude.
Yeah,
that's where
we think everything is like concrete, like Manhattan or whatever. It's not.
Actually, they're in Maine, aren't they? They're not in New Hampshire. They're in Maine.
No.
Are they
in Connecticut?
I thought they were in. I thought they were in New Hampshire, but now they've moved.
It's funny because Tom Viggy was from up there.
Well, actually, you talk about crap gas. Go up into South Dakota, up around Sturgis and everything. Yeah. We went on vacation there one year. They had was it 84 or 85 octane?
Yeah. Well, when you go out to Denver, but the reason they do that? That's because you're at altitude. So they sell you that octane at altitude because you generally, because you don't need the higher octane when you're you're 15% down on
not
it.
enough air to detonate.
No, that's why they, dude. If you go to Denver and look at the gas stations, they got like 85 octane and 84.
Yeah, so it was back in the Formula SE days. That was a conversation I'd be teaching guys is on the because the guys would talk about knock control on these cars and naturally aspirated 600cc engines with 20 millimeter restrictors. Like, dude, if you make this thing knock, I literally just look at the timing map and I type 60 into it. The car just didn't run. It was like, it can't light it at this point.
Right. Okay. How is in Waterboro, Maine. I just went back to my
yeah. So I thought they always been there. I thought they were.
Yeah. No, they're like on the new facility now on Google Maps.
Border.
It's the same place I went.
Double check.
And right down the street, right down the road, they've got their off-road test center there at the rock quarry. But yeah, if you look them up, How and How Technologies, there they are, 661 Main Street, Waterboro, Maine. Man, maybe we should get one of those guys on here. The one brother was badass. The guy, because the controls on that system were, it was electric over pneumatic and hydraulic controls for that thing. And when we started that Ripsaw up the first time, since they're a government-approved contractor, we got to follow their procedures. So they have what I would describe as a gymnasium that's maybe 15 feet deep. And it, you put the vehicle in there, and then one guy's strapped in, and everybody else is well out of the way up on the railing. And because in case the thing takes off on its own or starts doing crazy shit. And some of these guys' other business is... they make robots to put out fires and to defuse bombs in Afghanistan and shit like that. So they have interesting test facility there. You got to be real careful, but I enjoyed the hell out of hanging out with those guys. They were cool as shit.
Yeah, they're an hour and a half from me. They're right on the border.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, they are right there. Okay, but anyway, yeah, that's where we went. We went to that same facility. I'm looking at it right now. Neat place. There's all kinds of parts you can't go into, but they had just gotten back from filming the G.I. Joe movie in Iceland. Literally just gotten back a few days before me and Tom Viggy flew up there. I'll tell you what you do guys have that's kick-ass up there is clam chowder. Woof.
Oh, dude. So yeah, if you're ever up here, there's the place we moved to. There's 2 places walking distance that my wife gives me shit because every time I was like, nope, we lived in Ohio and they had shitty clam chowder for years. That's one of the few things I like about up here.
Tom even told me, he's like, hey man, we're just going to take an evening out. We're going to come take you to dinner someplace and just... He's like, you can get great clam chowder just about everywhere up here, but we went someplace it was super good. And then I came home and I'm like, man, I really like clam chowder. So I went to the grocery store and bought like clam chowder in a can. I'm like, Tom, this sucked. It was nothing like the stuff you had. And he's rolling. It's like, dude, he had some really good comebacks for that. Can you buy blah, blah, blah in a can? I don't know if I can repeat it here, but no. Anyway, good stuff.
I mean, try to come to New England and order biscuits and gravy or something. It's terrible. Right. Catfish. I had catfish once in New England. I love catfish. I couldn't eat it for years. It was that bad. I was like, I know it's supposed to be good, but
you got to come to the South for catfish now,
dude. No,
I grew up in Texas. My parents are from Missouri.
There you go. No, check this out. So producer Jason's got me. We go out and set up a trot line. We caught a 26-pound catfish, and we ate it. That fucker was good. Like the catfish in a clean lake.
Yeah.
Catfish from a clean lake is good eating, man. Holy crap. I didn't realize. See, I grew up in northern Indiana, man. If you ate catfish and the stuff they came out of, I mean, number one, you're getting mercury poisoning. Number two, you probably glow in the dark when you're done.
I'll refrain from talking on this subject because
right. Like where you're from, you don't eat catfish either.
We use catfish for bait.
yeah, cut them up for bait. No, dude, the catfish from a lake that you can see 40 feet deep in is a different story altogether.
Actually, so this came up. We were talking about this the other day. Jerry just mentioned ethanol-free gas. We were talking about that because so many of the guys in New Hampshire, some of it I get, guys with older sleds and stuff like that, where the ethanol swells the tanks and eats lines. I get it. Some guys swear that in their performance cars, I have to put ethanol-free gas in it. And to me, if it's tuned on it, I don't see the ethanol being a performance disadvantage in the mix. I haven't done much more thinking of it than the 2 second spitballing.
It's not.
It's 100% people want to blame something for their problems, and ethanol in the gas has been the blame for.
Boat guys are like that real bad. You can't put ethanol in your boat.
Bro, and I literally
can't
have
let
to
it
look
sit
at them
just like any other gas. You're not supposed to let it sit.
Exactly.
I'll be
But
honest
guess
with
what?
you.
Any gas that sits is doing the same thing. I got 2 generators out here clogged up, and I went and ran non-ethanol gas in them, and the carbs are still fucking
Well,
clogged.
you know what we do to clean them? We dump C16 through and run it through.
Right?
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what I do. That's what. And you know what's funny is I got a
100%
pail
we
of C16 out here that's still healthy that I brought with me.
My boat's
Doesn't
sitting out
everybody
back
run
right
their
now. And
lawnmowers on it?
What, on the ethanol?
No, on race gas.
On race gas. I'm not if I'm looking to waste money, but man, where I live, someone else. Gas now. I love
There have been
it.
a couple times we were on grid this year and no one could go get gas, and we were like remote on grid. And we needed our generator. Our generator ran a good couple
C16.
$100 worth of C16 this year because
God.
it was there. It was there for the car. So
You notice they run cooler. The generators,
They do.
air-cooled motors run cooler on the C16. I noticed that too. I
Oh,
thought that
man.
was pretty funny.
we have we call him our intern. There's there's a bunch of the tech schools, and they're probably like this everywhere. They have a bunch of co-ops, so he gets to come in so many days a week and work at our shop. And we got to teach him about, because we talked about race gas. He's like, "Oh, you running 110?" We're like, "No, race gas." So yeah, we got to teach him the wonders of C16 this week.
That's a riot.
Jerry and Severe Scorpio talking about the 2. That was me. That was with them. We had to put 2 of them on a 6.4 Ford, the first Motec powered Power Stroke diesel.
Oh, really? You guys
Yeah.
actually ran one of those? That's cool.
Well, the Motec, so the 6.4 uses a piezo injector. So you need 8 injector drivers to open injectors, 8 injector drivers to close injectors.
Oof.
And yeah, that was the first one. And then, oh my God, did I pull my hair out for like 3 weeks on that one?
Milliken ran that one he talked about, but then he
ran
switched to
for
Bosch,
the longest
right?
time. Yes, and he's Motec now.
Okay. So he is running Motec now. Wow, we got to get him back on.
I spent all weekend with him.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. We got to
In
talk to
my
Ryan
ass.
again. I'm waiting for him to run a real number in that beautiful car he built.
So he came to Orlando after Bradenton. Monday night, we were out there. He ended up going 109 to the 60 foot, and he's going to be back in 2 weeks to test before Georgia. So
Wow.
it's there. It's ready.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, so dumb guy question here.
Fire
Or at
away
least
since you're
dumb
here.
guy,
No one else
'cause-
is asking questions. Fire away.
So you've got your different types of fuel or management systems. You got Motec, Holly, Fuel Tech, Mega Squirt, Haltech,
Oh,
Fast
fuck, here
Systems.
we
Here we go.
Here we go.
Which
Man,
There's about to be a
you're
fight.
stepping on.
hold on, I'm not done. Which ones are easier to work with and why?
That didn't help.
God, you asked that.
Yeah, you're
That
gonna
didn't
get.
help.
All
I
right.
know of at least 2 different answers here. About
Hold
to get, maybe
on,
3.
bro.
Hang on. Okay, I
Opinions
got
expressed in this show are not necessarily the opinion of the fucking. Because tomorrow morning I'm gonna get a fucking telegram from some pissed off ECU salesman or a company owner because we just
All right.
recommended one over the other.
Scott and Brian are both way better tuners than me. Okay.
I
So
don't know
can-
about that, but whatever.
Can I go first on this one? Well, if it comes down to okay, because if it comes down to making shit work, you 2 are way better than me. Okay. This is my opinion. Who is going to help you, and who's going to be at the track with you, and that's the answer. If you don't have any help and you are all on your own, this is going to hurt me to say, and I'm going to have a pissed off PM as soon as I say it. Fuel Tech's customer service is better.
So
Okay.
I have a hard time
I haven't
arguing
dealt
with that.
with Fuel
Now,
Tech.
Mike's coming from the drag world,
Yes.
and so am I, with a little land speed, but Brian's way more well-rounded than us, I think is the term.
Yes.
I saw him set up that AEM dash. I'm like, I've never fucked with one of these. You need like an engineering degree on this, and Brian had it working for Parker's car in 30 seconds. But so I'm
dive
interested in
into
Brian.
emergency.
Your opinion is Brian's opinion probably
man.
applies more for Daniel's question than
It
ours
changes
does.
a lot. So a lot of my first question, like Mike is pretty close to it with the support thing, and that's I don't think you guys will disagree with me. Holly is really easy to use until you have a problem, and then if I have to call Holly tech support, usually ends with, "Well, I'm fucking smarter than this guy."
Yes.
It's over. There's a
literally-
reason guys like me make a living on
Right.
giving tech
we
support
had a
for Holly
dash that
users.
wouldn't connect. It wouldn't take firmware, and the answer I get is like, "Yeah, sometimes they just do that." Okay, so and then we said some stuff. He's like, "I think you're already way further than anything I can tell you." I was like, "All right, well, so at least Holly's really easy to set up, and it gives you a good gateway until you want to do something that's not what it wants to do." And I know
Right.
you've got the advanced tables. I fucking hate
but I mean,
Holley
I've seen what you can do on
I feel like
Haltech, and it's
yeah,
way
I feel like
better.
my-
Software
yeah.
features, yeah.
So I haven't dealt with fuel tech. It's not in the area that I deal with. I don't like its control strategy. I've heard the same thing about their support, and that's great. For me, Holley's always a really good suggestion, especially if you use the Terminator X, because they do work really well, and they're maybe Holley support is pretty good. You can get a weird problem. There's guys like Perduto and Scott and stuff like that that can help you, and they're really good bang for the buck. If you're going to start racing and you really need advanced features, it's Haltech's pretty high up there. There's some stuff that can be backwards. The thing for me with Haltech is pretty much Sunday afternoon in the US, once Australia's open.
I love that about
Friday
them.
night. You can call and they will. It's actually been an argument I've had with them because they won't implement third-party features. They've talked about it. I think they're finally going to do it, but you're going to accept, hey, you can't call us for support for this. And it's because you literally call them like, hey, I'll remote in your computer. I've watched them, just someone called, hey, I can get my trigger working. And the guy will sit there and make sure their car idles. So they do have really good support. I think it's easy to use. That's because I've been using it for so long. It is different. Some guys, it's not as easy as Holley for someone that is not computer literate. I will say that. And the more deeper you go, the more advanced it gets, and you get yourself in trouble. But there's a lot of really good ECUs out there. But what Mike said is, where are you going to get your support? What's your tuning experience? And what can or can't you do? Like I'm sitting here with Mtron open here. I will not sell Mtron to someone that can't tune. If you want to be able to do something, unless
that's the vibe I got when I use Mtron too. I like it,
but pay somebody. Yeah, it's actually I'm sitting here
kind of a hobby
like,
or hobby guy's ECU. Yeah,
it's and even that there's one thing I'm sitting here setting up. This is a Cosworth rally car, and I don't have cyclical idle, so I'm having to build a cyclical idle table. Because we're using anti-lag, so we need cyclical idle.
Right.
I don't think there's one answer. It depends on what you're trying to do. If it's a straight up the middle, bang for the buck, and as long as I can get okay support and people use it, it's really hard to beat the Holley because one, your tune can be shit and the car fucking runs.
Like Holley's
cowboy baby
is badass.
I know, right?
Well,
it was a Michael Hennessy sells stickers that said this car is tuned by transfer alerting to base. He's got a picture of the button. I need that.
Right up until it grabs your launch control and messes it up for Dudo, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude. No, not launch control. Closed loop. So we are learning some stuff right now. Closed loop affects spool time, and I'm forming a theory. For those of you that don't know, I pride myself in turbo spool time, especially with some of these big single turbo things we're doing now. And I'm beginning to wonder if these people that fight spool time and have big issues spooling, if they're relying heavily on closed loop on spool time. And as Scott gave me some things I'm going to try now, because I had a remote customer, I was doing it quick. We had spool time lightning fast. And for those of you that don't know, on a remote tune, especially when the guy's going to the track, I'll turn closed loop on and kind of, I'm not there. I'm 8 hours away, so I'll use it to help me as a crutch at times. And as soon as closed loop turned back on, this car spooled like donkey do. And I think. Go ahead.
I want to see some logs from that one. I was busy when you guys were talking about that, but I'm curious.
Is it spool leaving the line and already driving, or is it spool sitting on?
No, I'm talking grab the trans brake button from dead idle, getting to the point where she's on the poppy bangies and she wants to party.
Man, so I'm still under the from a controls guy. For those guys like my under guy, I have a minor in manufacturing, and a lot of that is controls. How do you control a machine process, right? From a control standpoint, what Holley can do with their closed loop, I literally did it. I knew the tune on this that Bayberry Jeep. It's on a Sniper. I knew the tune was off and weird. I literally turned closed loop on, did a bunch of hits just to rough it in because, well, one, I had race gloves on because my fingers are freezing, so I couldn't use the keyboard. So I was being lazy. I just let it run, and I didn't want to touch my keyboard because I got cold. For those who didn't hear, it was 32 fucking degrees on my dyno today. So I literally had full fire suit, race gloves. Yesterday I had a helmet on, but the closed loop is insane, and the processing power it takes to do that. These processors can only be so fast, and especially was this a Dominator or Terminator? What ECU was it?
Dominator.
Okay, so I don't know what the difference in the Dominator and Terminator processor is, but those processors can only do so much. So
not only that, but
are you
my
dedicating?
thought process also is on spool up, exhaust gas isn't moving very fast.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you said today.
Yeah,
So,
we're
and
coming
that's
off
where I
idle
was-
here.
Right. That's because I remember asked that is like, do we trust how quickly the wideband is reading, or is there a wideband error? How
Wideband
much,
was
well,
there. Yes.
You said it's only grabbing like 3% fuel though.
It was not far off, but what I noticed on closed loop, looking at actual pounds per hour fuel flow, they were
You get more
close.
cyclical than closed loop is showing you.
Yeah, but on closed loop,
I don't think it reports logging on closed loop as fast as it's actually doing. When you see a log and you see how spiky it is,
yes.
like that's not how it should look. There's more going on there. It's filtering that, and you're not seeing it.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff, and Holly, I can show you. I've been doing some testing. They got a lot of filtering built in where, like, what I like about the Mega Squirt is you can say, hey, my battery input, my RPM signal, do you want me to, how many samples do you want me to filter on these before I make that number available to the rest of the software? Well, Holly hides that stuff from you. But even the guys like Mega Squirt, I'm guessing Haltech exposed that where you can.
Yep. And I'm thinking it's because Holly prioritizes a lot of stuff. And
they do some weird stuff, dude. I should talk to you offline about that. But we've been experimenting with what's the fastest way to get data written to an internal Holly data log.
I gotta stop you, dude. Move your head to the left and watch your screen.
I saw the same thing. I'm glad you said it.
It's a microphone, dipshit. Come on, see? But it hides in the background. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm talking in the rubber.
And for everyone saying you don't run closed loop on spool or during burst build, that is a function of course, I don't turn on closed loop until if my car leaves the line, the car I'm tuning leaves the line at 4,200. That's where closed loop comes on at. There's a reason for that, especially because Holly's closed loop is so badass. If the motor or the car has a problem, an injector issue, the closed loop will cover for you. So
it does. Mostly if a fuel pump is shitting or a filter's clogged up is where that.
I want the car to screw up during boost building so the car doesn't make a pass and have a problem.
Same. Like I don't want it, but until I know that car's 100%, like I would rather scrap a run or have something weird like that happen than go the other way, not cash it, and be like, oh yeah, the rods are hanging out.
Sorry, I'm typing away here, pounding away. Sorry.
Everyone's sending all the videos and pictures from Bradenton, and I'm getting sentimental about the RX-7 right now.
So am I.
Oh,
man,
so
I had a bad. So,
car.
dude, I didn't even say this. I actually had a dream that something wrong happened, that the car wasn't going to make the class. And that was wild. I got up the next day and you were talking about it. I'm like, holy shit, I knew that was coming.
Yeah, it was
weird.
That was a bad day.
Yeah. So, anyway. Oh, yeah. So I guess I want to make sure somebody asked. Logan Yelton was on here asking if I'd already talked about why I was going to the 405. But anyway, yeah, we're going to set up the nitrous small blocks for Big Chief and Jackie. Got the invite. Looking forward to it. And he's like, we wanted to do some podcasting or some streaming or some collaboration. He really wants to get involved with the class stuff. So I think we might try to do a class at his shop or something involving him a little bit. Maybe we'll try. We tried figuring out how to do a track day. Guys, that's hard as shit to make any money at or even break even at.
We've had this conversation. I would love to do that.
Me too, man. I couldn't make the math work out on that.
Dude, between track rental, poor guy's car, we're going to beat the shit out of that day. None of it's going to be easy or, you know what I mean?
No, it's hard as hell. It's hard. We went really into detail trying to figure out how to do it. We were talking about having like 3 different flights or groups, and one guy's giving the lecture 3 times to the 3 groups. That way you could take turns, and the next guy's over doing the class at the track or that part, and how do we stage everybody? We were like, all right, we'll stage everybody right there in the staging lanes. We'll put all the cars and the rigs in the staging lanes. I'm like, well, how many do you allow? Everybody's going to want to bring their car. Then it's just a test and tune. Oh, it's trying to figure it out, but I'll talk to Justin some more. We'll try to figure. He wants to do something. He wanted to do some live streaming. He wanted to get on the podcast again. I was like, all right, we'll definitely do it. Let's make sure we get your shit running first too. I don't want to break his nice new motors. He got some. Did you guys follow his Midwest Customs YouTube channel? He's got his latest videos. I actually like how they're doing them now. They're real chill, and he walks you through the motor that he got, through what they're doing with both the cars to go nitrous small tire racing. I get to have some fun with nitrous power management. This is gonna be cool.
Logan Yelton's trying to say he'll sign me up. I'll pay to rent the track, but we don't need no 4-wheel drive diesel trucks unless you got something I don't know about.
You know Logan, right? So
Yeah.
do you know? I mean, you know him from Diesel Truck, but his uncle is the one who had the outboard, the hopped up Evinrude 2-stroke outboard.
Oh, that was his
bass
uncle.
boat. That's his uncle, right? That's how I got to know Logan through him. But so his uncle's got the crazy ass. He's got fuel tech on like a hopped up Evinrude 2-stroke outboard on a bass boat. I mean, it's super badass. It's like fixed in gear. You have to start it up, and when you're ready, you go. You start the motor up, boom, take off. Cool shit. But anyway, Logan's also a diesel guy. You gotta check out Logan Yelton's YouTube. What is the name of your YouTube channel?
No, you can bring the truck. We want to race it. That's just not what people in the class are going to want to see. We want to see it in classes too.
It could be in that fun exhibition, nonetheless.
I don't know the guy Lou that does the live stream, Solar Shifts. Sorry, Jerry. I apologize. I do not know him.
So what else we got? Anyone else hollering with questions? Depends on the EC, blah, blah, blah. What other questions do we have? Anyone? Hold on, I'm checking YouTube here. Crap, I got the
I'm reading YouTube. Closed loop effects build, blah, blah, blah. Scott, Brian's answering a question, but a question we should talk about. So he said, do you ever use fuel temperature in a tune? In Arizona, it gets warm. I live in Florida. I know that.
Some people do. Like Range Rover. I've done some Land Rover engines that I noticed their OEM engines had fuel temp sensors in them.
Yep.
So it must matter.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, let me finish. As a tuner, what does a turbine speed sensor tell you? Now you can go. That's the same question, same guy.
Yeah.
As a tuner, what does turbine speed? Where were you seeing this at?
It's on Facebook, and I'm assuming we're talking about shaft speed in a charger. I'm gonna go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming. That's how.
Let me tell you something. Logan will know. Garrett gets really pissy when you don't run wastegates and try and dump a bunch of nitrous at one of their turbochargers in the shaft speed.
Right.
Yeah. Turbine overspeed failure. That's real nice.
Yeah.
Turbine speed sensor. Assuming he's talking about the turbo, but I've seen. I mean, that's whatever turbine you're measuring the speed of. It tells you what the speed is. A lot of times you get an idea of efficiency. Like a target RPM range. It tells you if you're overdriving it, underdriving it, if you got some left. But that's one
at a
of the
certain point too. Like that it's really easy to just hold it shut and try to get to the spool. But sometimes it's not the most efficient. You want that turbine.
No, and you know what else you can see is leaks. You can see hot side leaks. They'll overspeed or underspeed. You can see leaks. I like the turbine speed for that.
Yeah, just safety for one. You can have boost cut set on turbine overspeeding. But efficiency, you can target a certain unit. I know
if you're awesome like Brian,
here,
if you're like me and Pluto, you let that fucker fly.
Yeah.
Well,
but yeah.
Are we talking about the engineer? I sit at a desk. I want to do everything right, or the fuck you all scatter this thing all over the place?
Yes. We don't want to scatter it, but at this point, you're asking for a lot.
When I pushed a GTX 3576 Gen 1 to 29 psi on that drift car.
Wow.
C16.
Yeah. We were class racing this weekend with a Class Spec X275 charger. When you got to put 80 pounds on the dome to make 32 psi, I'll teach you a thing or two about shaft speed, okay?
I remember saying, someone was like, isn't this bad for the turbo? I was like, well, we got C16, it's fine. We weren't overspinning it yet, but it was like, yeah, so watch this. And starting IITs were 60, and this was at the filter over the exhaust. So remember, New England, it sucks. Yes. Ending IITs were 140. I was like, yeah, and we're done. And take it back. But the guy's like, literally, how much can we make on this turbo? I was like, all right, well, IITs are fine. Like, don't let it live here. It's not great for the longevity of the turbo. But
Ryan's diesel, the Diesel Nova, IATs were so hot, he had to put EGT sensors in the intake air temp pipe because he'd melt the sensors off.
Yeah. That's pretty common to put a thermocouple in place of the thermistor.
We couldn't touch the cold side, or the hot side was the intercooler piping was uncomfortable to touch.
Yeah. Uncomfortable, buddy. I've seen 450 degrees.
By uncomfortable, I mean like you could tap it and
We got to get Brian on some methanol stuff. He's going to start getting those guys to lose the intercooler and start running on methanol.
I got to go back to the problem is how much of it we use. It's just we're constantly filling it up.
I get that, but when your fuel's $3 a gallon,
you're not wrong.
But wait a minute. At that point, you got to start looking at dollars per hour spent because you're using twice as many gallons.
Yeah, I'm
Per-
filling my
Yeah, but
tank.
what's
Can I do
what's
2 runs?
C16? Yeah,
You
what's
can.
C16 by the gallon right now, Brian?
No.
It's still pretty cheap.
How much
I'm
was
not buying
C16
it.
a pail?
20
How much was it?
20
You got
Oh, the pail was $25 or $26 a gallon for the pail.
Yeah, so I'll use
drum we
quadruple,
got
Scott. How's that sound?
I used to be, yeah, exactly.
The
I
drum
used
we
to,
got
you're
quoted
right.
was 22.
I used to
for a
bitch about it
drum.
when it was $75 a pail for C16. but
So
I'm
yeah,
like,
no,
I bought it.
the problem with some of the drifts that we don't want to do mechanically driven fuel pumps for the most part. We've had problems. Some guys have tried it, and there's been a bunch of problems with mechanically driven fuel pumps on the on-off throttle and all that.
yeah, exactly.
So-
they don't like the on-off throttle anymore.
So
The
then
only thing
what?
that really
We got to
wears
do
them out
massive
is,
electrical pumps, and then
two-step,
now
yep.
we've got a ton of load on stuff. I would like to make it work, but so far I would need a time with the right car and all the setup because there'd be a lot of time to make it work mechanically with all the other stuff.
I'll tell you right now, you convert one of those things to alcohol and get it right, and you'll tell him I'm not touching anything. It doesn't have this anymore.
I
Oh, I'm
actually
sure. I've
think
done
he
dirt
would
track
like it,
cars
man.
on
I think
methanol.
Brian.
I
I
like
think that's
it.
a great application for methanol, dude.
Yep.
Actually, we need to get Brian to do a drift car on methanol. Just be like, where's your intercooler,
So
dude?
Ryan Literal tried it this year, and they had a bunch of problems, and they went back to ethanol. But he had a
You
bunch
can
of other
handle it.
issues going on. So
Yeah, it's
um,
not that. And honestly, so you got to remember, Mike, he's gonna have cars with cooling systems still.
Yes.
Fucking, they can run it stoic. He'll get way better economy out of it because he doesn't have to run it at ridiculous 3.5 to 1 air fuel ratio.
We call that the
No.
McMurtry economy.
Right.
that wasn't as nice about some of the dirt track. We started running in a lot of the mini and micro sprints, which are the motorcycle powered dirt track cars.
Yes.
Guys
yeah,
are just running stupid compression, but we still had cooling systems, and like to the point where we having to preheat things to get the things fucking running.
Yeah, you got to get
Um,
everything above like 50, 55 degrees
Yeah.
internal temp. If it gets cold, dude, they won't like to run.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like never worried about anything. Just lean on them till they stop making power. I mean, we made out of a BMW S1000 RR engine, we made 230 horsepower or something like
I didn't
that.
know they did that well. That's awesome.
Dude, that car is awesome. Like we were the first to get that engine running out of the bike, and went out, dominated a bunch of races. Then he started having issues, and it was after I'd moved, and he had a guy try to figure it out. Well, it turns out at some point they'd taken their TPS apart and turned it backwards. And the BMWs, they're drive-by-wire, but they still run 2 individual TPSs. And to make sure you can't connect them backwards, there's a diode in them, and they had one of the TPSs that was randomly not working. So it kept going into limp mode for throttle position because it's an alpha N-based car.
This guy's asking, any of you guys using a blow-off valve as an air bleed to get turbine speed up? Man, I don't
spool
think
valves. I've had worked with a couple of guys with rally type cars that use spool valves.
But spool valves are in the exhaust. They shut the one, the what's it called?
You get guys that'll call them on the cold side spool valves
Are
as
you
well.
talking about like so I mean, like how you might use an electronic like a drive-by-wire throttle?
That's what I did. I used a smaller Bosch
surge
throttle body.
valve?
Ended up working better.
Yeah. I've usually used them as an anti-surge valve to like big turbo, like you're up in the surge area to bleed it off to keep the turbo. But yeah, I guess the same that you're looking not necessarily turbine speed up, but to hit a target turbine speed, right? I'm bleeding air.
He's saying to get turbine speed up. So I'm gonna say spool time. I'll let him comment. And then someone else asked, can exhaust temp affect turbine wheel speed on turbo setups? Absolutely.
Oh, of course. So the energy is actually heat energy. Don't think of it as pressure. You think of it as heat
with
energy.
anti-lag.
Yeah.
Dump
Oh, right.
that bitch.
Yeah, that spins them up quick, right? It's the heat energy. Yep.
That's why turbo blankets and Inconel header shields and turbo shields
are good ideas
in the turbo.
Yeah.
Get that thing as hot as you can without melting stuff.
That's the point. Agreed. It's that heat energy, the big deal. Tecklenburg was talking about that on one of his videos recently with that Sorcerer's car, where you can see him talking about, it's like, oh no, after you do the burnout, the exhaust manifolds are hotter, and he's actually looking at different drive pressure ratios between spooling the car in the pits when it's cold and spooling it at the line after it's gone through a burnout. Like he was saying that he could see the difference.
Someone wants to know who cuts your hair, but won't respond to me as to who he's asking that question to.
Probably to me, because my hair ain't been cut in forever, and I look like a damn hippie over here.
I go to the Supercuts right here at the front of the neighborhood. I get that $15 special.
He got a free bowl of soup with that haircut. So
Yep.
It's $25 up here now, Perdido.
Shut up.
On everything. Yeah,
For
dude.
a haircut?
Yep.
What?
I'll be quiet.
Well, our minimum wage is $14.90 an hour or something like that. So
God damn, I'm gonna quit my tuning job.
Yeah, that's
I keep working on
our
these
intern
Ford
gets paid
Mustang guys with a
$14.75
plug and play
an
Mega Squirt.
Hang
I'm
on.
making about $14 an hour.
Hang on, side note. I got a guy financed. So for those of you that don't know, my actual job, I sell boats for a living. I got a guy financed today on a $130,000 boat. Guess what he does for a living? He's a manicure or / nail technician. I'm not going to divulge much information, but when I tell you, when I saw his pay and his W-2 and how much money he makes doing fingernails, I give up. I no longer sell boats. I no longer tune cars. I am going to go paint fingernails. Like,
does he own the business?
Nope, he is a technician.
Oh wow. I was gonna say the owners make pretty good money too. I've heard that.
I can see it.
Sorry, old big chief is texting me right now. We're talking about coils that we're gonna run on.
Yeah, let's be honest. We all made terrible financial decisions to get into this as a career.
Oh, I'm horrible. I own boats and race cars. Am I retarded or what?
Oh God, yeah. This career sucks,
come up
man.
here. We can add. So my buddy Charlie, he'll probably hang out with us.
Some of these YouTube guys who their desperate dream, they go to bed, sleep thinking about, I wish I could be a full-time tuner and didn't have to do upholstery work during the day or whatever. No, dude, you don't.
No,
this job enjoy your upholstery job.
Oh man. Come fly north, Perdido, so you can add snowmobiles to that list. They're trying to get me into those, and the problem is snowmobile. The two strokes are still big, and I love two strokes. And it's just a snow motorcycle. So
dude,
that's right
be careful
alley,
because it's X cooler than that, man. They got a lot of neat shit. If you follow,
I know.
Michael and Steve Lick,
Dyno more of them.
The guys at Full Throttle Speed and Style. I love these guys up in Detroit, Michigan. We taught a class. We taught a couple classes up there. They do sleds, man. They got a chassis dyno, but when it's cold time in Detroit, they switch over to doing sled stuff. God, I just love watching the shit they've got in there, firing up a badass thing on two-stroke on methanol with a giant turbo hanging off of the expansion pipe and shit that I don't understand.
Do they have an engine dyno set up for the snowmobiles, or are they adapting it to run on the chassis dyno?
I don't know what they're adapting
the chassis dyno. We need to talk because
I think he's got an engine dyno or a shaft type dyno for those things. I'm not sure. But I mean, I know
they've done roller conversions to them, so you technically could put them on a chassis dyno. And I'm looking at a picture
but I think it's easier just to pull right off
the
the shaft. I think most of those dynos are like engine-ish type of dynos that are portable that slide around and hook up to the
right, especially with the CVT and stuff like that. It's ideal to tune it on the engine and put the CVT on and make small tweaks out on the mountain. But yeah.
Interesting. What else?
Plug
is a microsquirt computer fast enough to piggyback a factory GM computer to use as a boost controller and I/O? A microsquirt? Well, you'd have to use it for I/O for what? It doesn't have any I/O that you can use for anything other than the microsquirt itself. But if you're using it as a boost controller, yeah, I mean, I guess so. There's not really a speed
why would you
concern.
spin that when there's other boost controllers out there?
Yeah, don't
spend
$500 on a microsquirt now. They're so overpriced. There's way better choices. Unless it's something you've got already, let us know.
It's sad to say Holly has killed this game because by the time, if you're going to go stock computer turbo racing, and let's say you have an LF, so you have a banging ass factory computer. By the time you buy your bump box, by the time you buy your boost controller, by the time you buy your pieces to make the stock computer race car friendly,
get the Holly.
You could put a Terminator on it and spend $1,000 or $300 or $400 less money.
By the time you bought the credits so that the feds can actually have a database of what VIN you paid for shit to tamper with federal emissions regulated devices. Yeah, sorry.
Precisely.
There's 100 reasons why. Just get a standalone for that. Yep, Dynacom half-inch shaft adapter. I know there's a lot of people's dyno and sleds.
Yeah, like
That's crazy.
I was thinking that. I was like, oh man, it'd be really easy to adapt a sled to a hub dyno.
Oh yeah. No, I mean they
And,
just
like,
they
we
always
could
have
do
cool
it. We've
videos.
looked into it. I know we might, because we might do it just for my buddy Charlie that works with me. Him and all his buddies there's like 10 of them, and all have the same line of sleds. It's all the same suspension, so if we made adapter for one, we can dyno all the sleds. So we'll probably do it, because my roller, I could do it on my Dyno Dynamics, which I mean, as I showed, we can do down to 2 horsepower, or was 6 in that case. I don't think we ever talked about that one. So like the roller inertia is no problem, but yeah, those guys, the amount of money those guys spend, and then how many sleds get written off a year, just totaled and insurance paid out on a, guys buy a $30,000 sled and then put 10 grand into them, and then just wreck them. Like, well, and then so oh yeah, these are the average guys.
Sticker kit.
Then
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You dump it and it falls in the creek, which I just watched happen. And my buddy's like, "Oh, there's that 10 grand helicopter rescue." And I'm like, "What?" It was like, "Oh yeah, it might only be $7,500, but whatever, insurance pays for it. They fly the sled out and insurance pays for it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in a different world.
that was actually close. My buddy calls me like,
not uncommon to have 60, 70, 80 grand into a sled.
Yep.
Some of these guys, and the drag sleds go up from there. That's
because the same guy has a Grand National, and he's like, I could sell this and play for part of a nice new sled.
I'm actually on the DIY Dyno Facebook page, Jerry. I know about it. Pretty left to poop. That's funny. Where did he go?
Yeah, I've been on that stuff. So the problem with the DIY dyno stuff, and I think I talked with another tuner. The problem for me is I only have so much time, and just going down those rabbit holes there's so much stuff I'd like to do, but
it's like Mega Squirt. I mean, there's an appropriate time and place for it, and you can do some really cool shit, but you're going to spend more time. It's more maintenance, more effort. If you've got the rest of the car to worry about and other things and a build, then you're going commercial grade with that stuff. And dynos can be finicky enough. So anyway, meanwhile, if anyone's out there looking for a really kick-ass Superflow chassis dyno, 2-wheel drive shops that we hosted is selling one. Let me know. Talk to me if you're looking for a badass research. Do your homework on a Superflow chassis dyno. They're higher end. They're very nice. They're like their engine dynos, but for chassis dynos. But he's got a lot of the goodies for it too.
Is that one of the 48-inch rolls with like the 2 PAUs on it?
Yes, exactly. A big one. It holds back big power.
Yep.
Well, it's the one from our class in Palm Bay. It's TJ Shance's dyno. He's got to sell it. So he's was asking me about it. He said he'd take $45,000 for it, which, God, that seemed low to me. Those are like
about half. It's actually probably less than half now for what costs new.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I mean, it was over 150 grand new when they got it, but they've come down a lot. I know that. I know Mustang and Superflow both. They've gotten competitive. But
yep, Superflow's still 6 figures.
Yeah. It's still 6-figure dyno. Yeah, exactly. And it's in good shape. You can watch it on all the videos from our classes. They take real good care of it. But he was like $45,000. Come and get it. I'm like, Jesus. All right.
It's that come and get it part that's going to be tough.
I know, right? It's a platform style deal too. There's going to be some disassembly, but it's not that bad itself. The actual unit, a couple of friends of mine, Rich at BES has their tuner at BES has one of these at his house, and it's the actual pod and stuff like that. It's heavy, but it's easy to move, and it's square. It's large. It's not like you're having to disassemble a dyno. You're going to be disassembling the platform.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's about it. What else? Nobody else got questions. You know how we do, man. We get out of here. Here we go. I installed 3 sets of 210 injectors, 3 per cylinder to avoid the big singles. Dragweek style car, pump gas, methanol, BBC twin turbo. What kind of strategy would you use for control with them? Oh, I mean, I would stage them on boost, man. And I'm hopefully you're using a Holly. It's real easy to set up a VE table per set of injectors, so you can have them come on under whatever load and RPM conditions you want, or use some advanced table stuff and have it switch around based on the fuel you're running.
This must be like on the Dominator.
I'm hoping he's talking on the Dominator. Yeah. But what a lot of those are is you get the first 8 sequential, and then the next ones are in batched pairs. 2 injectors per driver. So that's how you do 3 sets of drives. 3 sets of injectors on a Holly.
RPM and boosts.
Yep, RPM.
Not a big deal with it.
Yeah, and if you're running dual fuel, I don't know what his config is, but let us know. We can talk about it next week too if you want. What else do we got here?
Terminators don't do that.
No, they don't. Although we have actually figured out a way on a Terminator. I have a staged injection deal running a Terminator using a PWM output. It's pretty cool. Batch firing a second set of 8 injectors through a solid state relay and firing injectors, and it's not tied to RPM. It's running a fixed 3,500 RPM on a set of 4 210 injectors that fire upstream of a supercharger, a roots blower, an old school 871 blower. It's pretty badass. No, it's on E85. Street driver drives it around. It's a show car that he can drive on the street pretty good. But it's Gary Hart's latest Willys, that yellow Willys. A guy used to race with at Bonneville with Studebaker a lot, but he built him a cool street car. That anyway, I'll show more of that later. I had it on Facebook a little bit 6 months ago.
Did it come out all right, Perdito?
Yeah, it was good times.
Cool.
I'll be quiet. I'll stop because there was a funny story.
I don't know what you ate.
No.
I mean, I'm just, if you're in our user groups, man, you never know what's coming, so just prepare yourself.
True. It's true. But let me put it this way. I have a bidet that is battery powered, and after I begun the cleaning session, the remote died. I couldn't turn it off. So
damn. Hard day at the Perduto house. Tough day at the Perduto household. The bidet ran out of battery power mid-cleanse. I mean, what the fuck do you do, man?
Sorry, yeah.
We don't keep toilet paper in this house. I'm dying. I'm sorry. I'm trying. My face hurts.
Excellent response ever.
I don't know if this is what people thought they were signing up for tonight.
I mean, this reminds me of that time Logan Graves was on here talking about the cat that peed in his toaster. They didn't know for a couple of days what was causing the toast to taste like that or making that smell in the house. But God, I know, right? That's what I got, that same cringy thing just now.
Much technical information.
Oh, too much, dude. I was like, man, you don't got to talk about that. Stick to
so
cars.
on that subject, real quick, does it have hot water? I mean, how does that work? I mean,
I have heated water. I can heat my seat. I can blow dry. I am fully functional.
One of those Japanese jobs, huh?
I was saying, after we had the heated seats, that is worth it right there.
It is. It absolutely is.
I'll keep that one to myself. I immediately want to know who all's been guests at your house before I come to your place at this point. Has this thing been washing Booley's big dirty ass? No.
No, he used the other bathroom.
Give him a hard time. He used the other one. That's awesome. I love you, John. He's hilarious. But I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm going to try this out. What else is going on? It's been an hour and a half. We're running low on questions. People are wearing us out, running out tonight.
Yeah, if you guys don't start asking questions, we're going to find other things to talk about.
No.
Like bidet.
MOSFET failure on the bidet. Listen to all these bidet users. That's hilarious.
Oh, the electric wastegate conversation. I'll change the subject to that. That's
someone bringing up electric
wastegates.
Wastegates. Where's that one at?
No.
YouTube.
The wastegate. So we talked about this after PRI. I still have not played with one, so we're all kind of mixed on it.
I've had 4 of them come to me that are already getting removed. They got removed in a row, like 4 cars in like a 2-month period.
Apparently, and this is per TurboSmart even, including TurboSmart's own controller. The only people doing the control strategy right now is Heltech, because it has to be a flow based, not a percentage, like not a
fixed position command.
Position based, yeah.
Yeah, which is fucking dumb, but whatever.
So I remember talking to Nick I'm gonna butcher his last name. I know him. I've known him for years.
Nick from MCOM?
Zarowitz. Yeah, no, Nick from Haltech.
Okay.
So he basically was like, man, when they came out, I thought they were dumb and gimmicky, and then we started using them. And once we did our firmware, I don't want to do anything else now. And that's coming from someone that had zero interest and thought they were dumb. So I want to try one. We've got a couple cars we've talked about doing it on. I've talked to Turbo Smart a lot about it. I just haven't gotten the two things to come together yet. And my car is not a great example to do it on. There's some nice things to do, but like we've got a couple drift cars that we've talked about doing it on just because they make enough horsepower that I can really play with them. But I think there's some things there. The cons are they are expensive. You need either an ECU that can drive them directly.
Do they have
or
position
a driver.
sensors? Do they have position sensors?
They do. So
okay.
So Haltech makes so Turbo Smart makes their own controller that works a bunch of other stuff, but it's position based. And they said straight to me, "Hey, this should be flow based." Their guy at PRI. So Haltech makes their DCMD, which is a dual or DMCD, dual motor control driver. That is it's a couple $100, $200. It will work with any PWM output, so you could use it with any ECU. So controlling it isn't as terrible anymore. But the gates themselves, really, the biggest problem or what's coming is what you want is their straight gate, which it's just a high temp drive-by-wire throttle body, basically. So the problem is that poppet valve, the normal, you've got a valve that moves up and gas has to come up and turn. It's not efficient. And they're not linear. They have a bunch of really bad responses. So they're saying their 45 or 50 millimeter straight gate has the response of a 38 with the flow of a 60. Gate's not out yet. It's gonna be $1,200. If you're twin scroll and you want to run two of them and have an absolute completely 100% twin scroll, it's expensive. And they're kind of large. They just take up more room. There's wiring that has to be near exhaust. It is a more complicated setup. But you don't have to worry about CO2. But CO2 also works. I don't know. I would love to get one on a car and then make Perdido come and play with it and get what, because I know I say CO2 works, but he's done a lot of CO2. I haven't. So I would like someone that's switching to get on a car that I think works
CO2.
well.
Yeah, so, I like CO2. That's the way to go. Or air compressor, whatever, onboard air, whatever works. But yeah, it's the
my only worry so far from what everyone says is now they said they're going to do that with the throttle body style one. I know the poppet style, standard style wastegates are too slow.
Yep,
they just are.
Well, they're definitely slower than CO2. I would love to test that back to back. Is slower too slow, right? And the straight gate, I think you can get a better response out of, period. And that what's really going to happen is, I mean, we can talk about this RB car and man, I should show the dyno chart on that. And
real quick, there's a local guy, Kevin, talking about that Haltech and Fuel Tech are the only ones that control it properly. If you listen to what Brian's saying, yes,
Fuel Tech does not.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, they can open and close it, but the word properly is where you're going to get in trouble because, as he's saying, they need to be mapped flow-wise, not opening-wise. And Haltech, I think, has that math now, you said, Brian?
So they've actually working with TurboSmart, and they're characterizing the gates. So when you select, what you'll do is you'll say, hey, I have an E wastegate. And I'll say, okay, which model do you have? And when you do that, it'll say, hey, this is a flow. And when I tell it open 100%, it's going to say, okay, here's all my data. 100%, I want 100% flow. I want all my flow out of this. That may not be 100% position. Because what happens if I go to 100% position, well, if 100% flow is the same as 60 or 70, and I need to close loop, I have to close 40, 30, or 40% before I'm even affecting flow. So it feels slow, but it's not. It's because the control strategy is not correct for the flow. So it's not that the gate is slow, it's that the control strategy is wrong and lagging behind the flow.
Now, for instance of what I'm talking about speed, there's, especially when we get into traction control on drag cars, and especially in no prep world, I have to sometimes bump CO2 pressure 120, 140, 160 PSI, because even what we call CO2 at 100 PSI isn't fast enough to do what we need it to do. So I can't have slower than what we are now.
Right.
I do think the throttle body valve, talking to them at PRI, is going to solve all those problems. But as you said, that's not even a ready to go thing yet. It's cool as shit. I like the idea, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, that's why I said I'd like to get one working right on that style, and then have someone that does CO2 play with it and say, hey, this is what it does or doesn't work.
Yes.
So, and yeah, like you could, Jerry, you could build the table. It depends on, they wouldn't be terrible to characterize, but it's hopefully TurboSmart actually starts publishing some of that data. But the problem is it's based, to really do it accurately, you would have a bunch of sensors, some you'd want to know temperatures and stuff like that. But you can get close enough to be within ballpark. But because the other thing that's going to really start getting crappy is wastegate placement. So I don't know, Perduto, I wish Tom was on. I don't know how many of you guys have messed with a lot of turbo inline sixes in the gas high revving stuff.
Lots.
I had a few
RBs, JZs. So
all sorts of weird inline sixes. Most people
right.
never heard
So
about.
the problem I see, and I don't know how much. Well, this probably happens more to me because of the kind of inline sixes in the cars they're on. So boosted BMW inline sixes, RBs, and JZs. I don't see the problem as much with JZs, and I don't know if it's just because the JZ, the RBs under square and all the JZs over square, so we need to get enough mass for the wastegates to work. I see it on BMWs and I see it on RBs all the time. 7 psi spring in the wastegate, can't get it below 20 to 22 psi no matter what we do. We play taking gates off. Some of it's crappy manifold design. People are buying cheap. The difference between your $300 eBay manifold and your $1,300 manifold. In this case, literally the exhaust comes up and it's a top, so it comes up like this. The wastegates are pointed down and backwards. Air literally has to turn backwards to get to the gates. So we're a pressure-based flow, not a flow. But even on Drift World, Mike Powers' JZ car still has to run a big 60 just to get any control, because it's just so hard to get. It's hard to get a single gate to get enough airflow on an inline six, unless you're just really big. But even then, there's, depending on your packaging, sometimes it's just hard to make them priority flow. So a lot of times we get problems with that, and that's where some of that wastegate control, the flow is good, but there's a lot of tuning that has to go into it to get that kind of control. Because, like I said, I can open the wastegates all the way, and it didn't care. It made 22 psi with the wastegates open. So
that to me, that's manifold design.
Yeah, typically, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, some manifold design is gonna, for on the E-gate side, when you're tuning that stuff, you realize that you sometimes.
What's your dog's name?
Turbo.
Turbo. What's up, Turbo?
Turbo.
He's almost He's almost 17 years old. This little booger's one.
Badass, dude. My Wime's 14, and he couldn't drag his ass up here at desk height if we needed it to. That's cool. What's up, Turbo? Somebody asked about the Coyote I tuned last week. Let me try and share my screen here. Hold on a second. I did, dude. I tuned probably the craziest. A lot of weird shit happened on this car that seemed to work well. Where is it? Am I sharing it? Can you see it here?
Yep.
Can you hear it?
I hear something. Yep.
This thing is crazy. Dynocom Hub Dyno. And that was a big money pull right there. I don't think he wants me talking about how much that made, but it's I mean,
Didn't do a wheelie on the dyno. We want our money back.
well, so that's a stock block Coyote, stock heads with its CNC port. A modular head shop, I think, did the heads. MMR is involved with that. So I don't trust Hub Dyno numbers at all. It's not the fault of the manufacturer. I'm going to say this. I eat serious crow, and Allison Black rubs it in my face because that dyno repeats like a crazy good. Guys, I'm telling you, that thing, I mean, we're on way north of 1,000 horsepower, right? Way north of that number. And it was repeating like 7, 8, 12 horsepower without me changing anything. And then I could literally see that the inlet temps were down 2, 3, 4 degrees different. Like I could almost figure out why. I was super, super impressed at the repeatability. It's the only hub dyno I've ever been on. I mean, I had another one again this last couple of weeks ago that, big popular YouTuber hub dyno. These guys post crazy fucking numbers. And I had a guy make pulls without us changing anything and getting 700 horse differences between pulls, with the same fuel flow and stuff like that on big number cars that are showing, north of 2,500 horsepower. But just, I'm like, guys, this is not, I don't know what you want me to do for tuning, because, I'm going to make changes that should result in 700 horsepower
timing, right?
Yeah. Like, what the fuck was it like? Cool, man. It picked up 700 horse. What'd you do? I'm like, nothing. Oh, it lost 400 that time. What'd you do? Nothing. I'm still waiting. Before I'll even make changes, I'm waiting for it to get within a few percent of itself, because I know that the fluid temperatures have leveled off and all the other
I've been
bullshit.
spoiled. I forget how crappy it is on some dynos.
Oh, it's horrible, especially on these big power Hemi stuff. This was a big pro mod type.
Are you saying that by chance certain YouTube engine dyno people might use fluid temperature to make things make more horsepower?
Oh, for
I've never pointed at the dyno jet. No,
some of the shit people are doing. I get so.
I actually had to go back when Rich Rebuilds was in there. I was like, guys, it wasn't there for that reason. I was like, we probably shouldn't have the temp gun sitting by the IAT sensor for the dyno.
Right.
No one commented on that. Everybody commented on other bullshit that didn't matter.
That's funny. Yeah, stupid shit. They picked the door gaps weren't right. But anyway, you
called it an S550. It's a
That's one of the coolest true street cars. That's Richard Mayhew's car, right? And it's this still got roll up windows. Very street drivable. We take it out on the street and run. Dude, that's 85 air to air intercooler. The inlet air temps were like 94 degrees every time. You could hot lap it on the dyno. Fucking huge numbers on E85. Normally, I told him, I'm like, dude, I would stop at 25 pounds of boost, and we were at like 37 and ran out of turbo. Well, basically, I'll tell you what, if you're talking numbers, Mike, what do you think running that turbo? It's a Pro Mod 88 XPR.
So very similar to a GT55 88 carrot.
What flywheel horsepower do you think that should support?
At 80, at GT55 probably got or 88 mil, probably got a 111, 114 turbine in it. Flywheel, 21, 22.
Yep. My math said, all right, fuck it, Rich is going to be mad. My math said it got off the bus at 2085 is what my math came up with.
And you're doing that on E on a Coyote?
Fuck yeah.
You know how I feel
thought we were breaking stuff, dude, or something. We weren't. That thing was repeating. Oh, we did 13 pulls. And
was it pumpy or was it a blend or a
fucking pumped ethanol, man?
Oh boy, you ballsier than me, bro.
That's what I told him too. He's like, no, let's do it. Hey, so this car had already been 491 at some of the Titan, or was it the Titans races up here locally? It's been 491, right? And it's probably go 70s with the power that we found. This is the one that I was bitching about over New Year's. So this is the local car that I did a driveway tune, all right? So it's got a really weird combo. The cams are kind of experiments. He works close with those guys, and no one has this combo. And so I put the tune on this car in the guy's driveway. No kidding, at his house. And we got it up on the brake, and it wasn't spooling great or whatever. And this is the one that the other guys, local track tuning expert hero motherfuckers, let me at it, let me do this, blah blah blah. And then they made changes that actually didn't change anything, but they thought it did. It was so funny. But Rich don't let anybody else touch it anymore, other than like he'll let Wes, his chassis guy, do power management type stuff changes, but nobody changes the base timing on it. Base fuel, everything stays the same, whatnot, and it's fun to work with this guy. It's just it stirred a lot of shit, and I told Rich, I'm like, man, you ought to let me go do a good dyno tune on this thing, so we can at least, if people are going to say something sucks, that it wasn't something we just did in your driveway. The car went 491 on the driveway tune, by the way. Just for anybody who wondered, and never, But so anyway, we took it down to a really clandestine dyno shop, Larry Heiss's shop it's outside of Fort Smith, Arkansas, and about 3 hours south of where I live. And we spent the day there this last Saturday getting everything figured out on this car. And man, it just ran flawless. It ran like a bone stock car, just makes big power. I was impressed. It made me a bigger Coyote fan, especially if you heard this thing idling. If you heard my idle video, that sounds gnarly. Loved it. But anywho, that's the Coyote story there, and I probably gave away some numbers. Car should go 150 in the 8th, and it weighs 4,000 pounds, by the way, so it's not gutted. That's really stock ish.
Yeah, the technology that goes in the Coyote motors has always fascinated me.
It is. I guess they're finally figuring out that 4-valve per cylinder stuff, and it makes power like a 600 cubic inch motor, and it takes up a footprint like a 600 cubic inch motor. It's 302 cubic inches, clearly making well over like 6.5 horse per cube. But then again, you look at 2JZ guys, and they're laughing. Delgado's laughing if you're not 8 or 9 horse per cube on a 2JZ. But still,
I mean, we're revving those things to 10 grand now.
Yeah, yeah. And this one was supposed to be good to like 9,200 or so, but we only
Coyote's rev, man. It
does, but this one was done at 75 to it was starting to nose over at 70. It peaked at 7,300. So they were going to work on cams and stuff like that, but we were obviously pushing it because we kept adding dome pressure, and it literally the turbo got off the bus. It's funny because I should have asked Perduto. He knows that stuff. You can ask him like, hey, what flywheel horsepower will this class type turbo support? And it's funny. He told me a number that was literally 15 horse from the math, where I was pretty sure this one was getting off the bus. I couldn't coax anything more out of it, and I didn't want to push the timing. We were still picking up. We did our last 2 degrees, picked up 25 horsepower, and I stopped there. Right. So I know with timing there might be 40 more or something, but we left that on the table. This was a pretty big gain anyway. Car should go in the 70s now. And again, Wes Schote from Show Me Speed helps him out a lot on the suspension and chassis stuff. So I should give him a lot of credit, because those are the guys that actually make it do the numbers. Right. I put the base tune in it, make sure it's going to be safe, and it works good. We get along good with the locals that way, but it's just kind of funny because it ruffles the feathers when that car is so streetable, rolling up the power windows, and he drives it to and from. I mean, he's beating guys that are showing up with 5-gallon methanol tanks that are can technically make the drive, but it's good stuff.
People don't realize the Coyote has more stroke than a 351 Windsor. I had no clue that to be a fact. That's actually impressive to me.
Surprised you left those 2 degrees in there if they only picked up 25 wheel at that power level, Scott.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said I'm surprised you left that 2 degrees in there if it only picked up that little at that power level.
No, it was 25. Yeah, so it was, and I was like, okay, something like this, I better stay at least 10 or 12 or 15 per degree or whatever. But I was okay with that. The reason I was sort of okay was because its inlet temps were so cold.
Yeah.
I mean, we've shown in the 90s. The shit, I would have run that on the E85 up to 180 before I got too worried.
Well, the 85 is, once you're past the limit, it's great.
Well, and I'm like, you're going to bend rods or wrist pins, or you're going to find a weak point with the E85, because we always do. Barry Cook was someone else who was up in that power level with his LS combos, and they started hurting stuff that was weird, not quite detonating, but kind of acting like it, but not showing up on the top of the piston or the plug, but hurting the, dancing the main caps around and stuff like that. Just doing weird shit that let you know that big pressure was happening at the wrong time.
Okay, hang on. The anti-lag systems on the direct injection rally cars with air injection in the exhaust manifold. Is this system possible with port injection?
That's exactly how it works. That wasn't a DI invention. There's a bunch of different ways of doing anti-lag, but you're pumping fresh air in and just literally lighting exhaust. You're causing explosions in your turbo. You're creating thermal energy there. So yeah, it's the same idea. Whether air injection valve. Some guys have some ECUs have done where they'll actually crack the throttle for anti-lag. Some guys will use an air injection valve. Some guys will just use a fucking solenoid to get some air in there. But The idea is get air in there, make it lean, give it fuel, let it light in the hot exhaust and turbo. Explode things, destroy your turbo, call your turbo sponsor.
Yeah. And I feel like you hurt some exhaust valves in the process as well.
Usually it's far enough down that you can, but I mean, I think it was the WRC cars were doing a turbo at every major service interval back in the day. I don't know if it's still true, but
Yeah,
it did.
I have a Scott Clark question when he comes back that I have somewhat so
I'm coming. Sorry, I had to let the
You're
dog
good.
out. He was squeaking.
so,
Dog had to take a
so
leak.
we have had this conversation before and used to have someone on the podcast that was I didn't agree with the theory, and I'll put it out there to everyone. So there's some theories out there that everyone's done the whole, hey, we don't leave on a boost ramp. We leave on 25 pounds of boost, and we walk timing it. I'm fine with that, no problem. And then we had the theory that we're going to use timing to control boost on the starting line, a.k.a. no more boost control, no more CO2. We're just going to pull timing until we achieve peak boost. Now, I have heard of some people doing this lately, and I've also seen a fairly large number of stretched and beat up exhaust valves and cylinder heads. And I'm going to be of the school of thought that those are two connected items when you start ripping that much timing and sitting on it for that long of a period of time.
That's because you're creating the heat in the combustion chamber. The answer, like ideally, you're not creating the heat till after, so you're only burning your turbo.
Yeah, you can definitely do some damage, especially if you do it a long time.
Well, we that was brought up on this podcast a ways back, and someone recommended as a way of how he likes his car leaving the starting line, and I didn't necessarily nix it at the time. I just didn't agree with it. And
I put it this way: I've just got a lot of guys that don't care too much. They don't ramp the boost in, like Justin and those guys. Like he just whatever boost he can make, he makes it.
Oh, and use timing
within reason, and then just you ramp the timing for a couple of tenths of a second.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
But when you're using timing on the starting line and you're sitting
for strictly retard, yeah. You gotta be careful.
He's using that to control his starting line RPM and boost level, 100% timing based.
Oh, 100% timing retard based.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes how long you're gonna things have changed a little bit on that, in my opinion, a little bit. You're right. That's it used to be okay to use a retard only as a limiter, but I would also pull back enough retard that it was effectively dropping spark or cylinders, right? If you pull something back to 40 degrees after top dead center, then it's being lit, out the exhaust, but you're not really, it's not as hard on it as people think, I don't think. But the problem is a lot of guys if you're actually controlling RPM entirely with that, then you're going to retard it back to a number that's like 5 after top dead center, 8 or 10. I think there's a hard spot there where it puts a lot of heat through the exhaust valve. I agree. But I mean, the valve's got to tolerate that heat anyway. It's just easier when it's on the seat. It can bleed off the heat quicker.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think that -5 degrees is definitely way harder than the -40 degrees because you know what I mean. It's already out the exhaust. It's Sewell.
I know.
The distance isn't so fast. All right. All I know is I came in with the bidet, and my question is, please tell me you have an extra set of batteries sitting over there for when this happens again.
This is the first time I've ever. My last bidet was manual control. This is my first time that's ever happened with this, and now I'm going to have extra batteries.
So you haven't got the extra batteries in there yet?
No.
No, that'd have been the first thing for me.
Well, or are you going to do the convert it so you can plug it in? So if you're in an emergency, you got some hardwire?
That's what I did. I reached down and unplugged it.
Use the M18 fuel batteries. They get you the adapters.
Oh my God.
Supercharge that bitch.
The next podcast is going to have a whole different problems. Set of problems.
I'm getting ready to get a what's called an email from Braille. We would like to sponsor you some bidet batteries.
I mean, it's better than the damn lawyer letter I'll probably get for some shit. One guy wants to sell us batteries for our butt washer, and the next guy wants to drag us through court again. Bring it on, motherfucker. Okay. What else do we got? I'm looking here. I'm catching up.
Sonic or supersonic cause tulip valves, not pre-ignition, but a flame propagation rate that is exceeding the localized speed of sound.
I don't even know. I don't know. I've seen combustion pressure traces that would be detonation to me if something got that fast. That's my guess.
I was trying to think.
That's basically what detonation is when it gets super fast wave.
I could see it causing that, but can I see that happening in normal combustion?
No. Maybe in a localized small pocket area. I can't get him on the show because he's shy, but Graham Bean, the guy from Lotus and Lingenfelter, would talk about things like crevice volumes and localized flame weird behaviors that also affect emissions. So, I mean, there's definitely combustion engineer. That's something those guys work on.
Honda, but where we would create localized events to control the amount of fuel. So we'd run a cylinder stoic or super lean, but the burn would be stoic.
Well, that's why on Hondas, the ring lands way up at the top because they want to minimize that crevice volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said. They moved the ring lands way up to the top so that the minimal crevice volume results in less unburned hydrocarbons.
Well, I mean, the idea is the same. That's technically detonation. Detonation can cause the same damage. So, yeah, it could cause that damage. The question is that actually in it?
Will it tool up the valves, though? I don't think so. I mean, I think you're more likely to break pistons before you break valves, like regular detonation modes and ring lands. I mean, just as what I've seen, I think tulipping valves is a metallurgy problem. And there's been a lot of it this last 2 seasons. Bewley knows about that. There was some bad metallurgy that went out, and they had to catch up and do some reworking because was it Ferrea or somebody had some bad valve metallurgy.
It's a diesel. He's talking about diesel.
Oh, he's talking about diesel stuff?
Oh, I'm out.
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably possible. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that on diesel.
I don't know how the flame travel works on there, but that's maybe so. We don't know.
The flame travel in a diesel is 100% in the piston.
Yeah, get somebody in here that knows the diesel because that DI, that's magic to us.
Can a flame speed going supersonic cause tulip?
I don't know. That's a good, weird question. I don't really know how to address that, honestly.
Well, I mean,
you're not going to pre-ignite diesel.
Right.
Diesel bang when diesel wants to bang.
It's heavy oil, right? How does it burn? But if you run it lean, more air than a lean mix, well, I don't know what that does to the
well,
flame
that
travel.
was can you have that ignition? And in diesel, I could see it. You get a spot that's leaner and it wants to bang, and you get this big propagation. But then once you get some fuel in it, slows the front down. So your front is fine, but you get this real small area where you get this really big bang.
We do that on purpose, though. So we use pre and post injection. So we actually put a small pre-injection into the bowl, light that, and then we come in with our
pre-injection and make it too much. I could see it, and it could cause that if you cause that bang happen at the valve.
I mean, tulipping the valves really comes down to just extremely high EGTs. So I guess typically what happens to the EGTs, right?
Yeah, high EGTs combined with some force because you're gonna get the valve hot, and then any real force is gonna want it to move. But,
no idea.
Yeah, I would guess tulipping would typically be from the lean condition, causing to be hot and then slamming the valve against something that pushes it, rather than a localized force.
It's a good question. I don't know enough about the diesel stuff.
But causes the propagation rate to be overaccelerated.
Well, what's your EGT on those 2 conditions? Does EGT follow? Or are we seeing a symptom rather than the cause? Because your EGTs are going up because my temps are going up because I'm lean. So that's causing heat. Or it could be the 2 combined. It could be that just the heat alone wouldn't do it, but the heat plus this force plus.
Man, I'll be honest, because diesel does this weird thing. It starts to heat up a little bit when it gets lean, and then it cools back off. And
it follows the regular bell curve of the mixture. The hottest point is the stoic mix, right? And so it gets cooler on either side of that.
And especially when you want to talk about being over accelerated burn speed wise. So let's talk about Milliken's car. He's dumping in gas where we would consider 900 horsepower of oxidizer into the hole. I mean, his acceleration in burn speed would make most other diesels on the planet go, what are you talking about, huh?
It's just chamber efficiency. So you're still going for a peak pressure at 12 to 15 after top dead center, no matter what it is. So I mean, it means he's got to inject it later. Later timing gets him a big torque number, right?
I have the people. I mean, between
More efficient.
SNS and Exergy and D&J, we could answer these questions. Milliken could probably answer the majority of them.
Yeah. I was gonna say Ryan would be awesome. We've got to get him back on here. We can talk about it. Hey, it's about that time to go. I want to make my guy start the music.
Yeah. Get us out of here. Screw all you guys. Bye.
Take us out. No. We love all you listeners. We've done our due. Actually, I'm more cheered up now. Man, I was worried I was going to be too negative on the show tonight because the guy blew me off and just, feels like there's hopeless. But it was kind of neat to read the letters from at least some people are getting some responses from the representatives on this stuff. But so anyway, very cool. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Gosh, follow my Facebook or maybe on the YouTube. I don't know what we're going to do with Big Chief, but he wanted to do some streaming or some video stuff. So we'll do something at least in the next week or two at his shop, and I'll try to have a deal here, still do our podcast at least once in the next 2 weeks. But thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you again next time. Take care.